Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday evening. We're back with another massive show to bring you guys tonight. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's episode. Also, if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. Get involved. On the show this evening, we are going to be reacting to a story that came out earlier on today saying that Jim Ratcliffe wants to remove 11 players from the team in the summer. We'll be obviously bringing you all of those names. I'll be giving you my opinion, inviting you guys to have your opinions as well. We'll also be reacting to a story saying that apparently Thomas Tuchel is eyeing up the Manchester United job. And I don't know, we'll talk about that. I'm not a fan of Tuchel personally, but we'll talk about that as well. We'll also talk about the left-back situation, bit of an update on Tyrell Malacia, bit of an update on whether we can bring back Alvaro Fernandez or not, as well as some news on Jim Ratcliffe's stadium plans as well. So lots to get into on the show tonight, guys. As always, get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on this evening's show. Right, let's start off with the left-back situation then. So for anybody who's been living under a rock, Manchester United, the official club website, announced last night that Luke Shaw is going to be out for at least 2 months with a muscular injury. It's a reoccurring muscular injury. He'll be out for a minimum of 2 months, which will take us to, what are we at now? The end of February, end of March, end of April, probably beginning of May, best case scenario. But from what I'm hearing today, apparently Luke Shaw's goal now is just to be fit for the Euros. Obviously, it's the international tournament, isn't it? The Euros this summer, and Luke Shaw is the starting left back for England. So his goal now is just to be ready for the Euros, which is obviously a bit of a kick in the wounds for Man United fans. But are we really surprised? Like, I would say that most of these players' loyalty probably is towards their international team when it comes down to it. Most players, it's more of an honour to play for their country than it is for Man United. Whether or not we agree with that as Man United fans is obviously different. But, Luke Shaw isn't a Manchester United fan. If I'm Luke Shaw and, I'm playing for a club that I don't technically support and I have the opportunity to go to a major tournament with my international country, like obviously I'm going to do that, Obviously it's different if you're a Man United fan and, you've grown up in the city and you're a boyhood fan, and all that stuff, but Luke Shaw isn't. So Luke Shaw's out for the season pretty much, I think. So off the back of that, obviously, Malacia is also injured. Apparently, Eric Ten Hag is going to give a proper update on Malacia tomorrow in the press conference. We'll obviously bring you that news as soon as it comes. I've been doing a bit of digging as well. Apparently, Alvaro Fernandez can't be recalled from loan because he's already had 2 loan deals this year. He was on loan at Granada. He came back and then he went on loan to Benfica. And apparently, you can't play for more than 2 clubs in the same season or something. Some strange rule. The other option was recalling Brandon Williams. I know people are thinking, why the hell are we talking about Brandon Williams? But he is a left back. He was part of the first team for a period, I think 2 or 3 years ago. Brandon Williams is currently on loan at Ipswich in the Championship. He's been doing quite well. But unfortunately, Brandon Williams is injured as well. So even if we wanted to bring back Brandon Williams, he's injured. So we can't really do that. And he is on loan at another team who are, doing very well in the Championship. I think they're 2nd or 3rd in the Championship. So the only way that he could come back to Man United is if Ipswich agreed to terminate the loan. But I don't really see why Ipswich would do that. There's no reason for them to do that, and I don't think we can just bring him back without some sort of penalty and all the rest of it. And why would you bring back somebody who is injured? Like, it doesn't really make any sense. And it's also kind of worth noting as well, guys, that Brandon Williams has actually been playing as a right back for Ipswich, so he doesn't really actually solve the problem. You bring him in, and that would then mean that 1, you'd have to pay compensation to Ipswich if they even agree to it, and 2, he actually is now playing as a right back for Ipswich, so he probably would be a little bit rusty. But anyway, we are stuck with what we've got. So realistically, the options now are Amrabat at left back, Lindelof at left back, Anthony at left back, which I suggested this morning, and some people thought I was crazy. And there was one other option which I have forgotten about. Let's have a quick look. I did a poll on it earlier. So your 4 options are Lindelof, Amrabat, Anthony, and Harry Amas, who is obviously the 16-year-old from the youth academy. Now, I asked this question on the community section of our channel earlier on today. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and then you can get involved with all of the community element of the channel. There's polls, there's extra information and stuff that you can read. And the question was this. It said, with Luke Shaw being ruled out with injury for 2 or 3 months and Malacia falling off the face of the earth. Obviously, I'm joking there. He hasn't fallen off the face of the earth, but he's not played all season and there's no sign of him in training and all the rest of it. So obviously that's a joke. But it says, who would you play at left back for the rest of the season? That was the question I asked the community section earlier on today. Your 4 options, as I said, was Lindelof, Amrabat, Anthony and Harry Amas. Now, over 800 people have voted already in the space of 6 hours, which is obviously really, really good. 55% of people voted for Harry Amas. 22% went for for Amrabat. 15% of you went for Lindelof, and only 8% went for Anthony. I mean, I said it on the show this morning, I would try Anthony at left back because he's not going to play otherwise, and we need to try and get something out of him. But, you know, if Harry Amas is ready to step up, if he's ready to play in that first team at the age of 16, which I think is mad, then I'd love to see it. I would love to see Ten Hag bring through another youth player, you know? I'd love to see us have another person who, in the summer, are all sat here saying, we don't need to sign a new left back. You know, Harry Amas has played and he's proved to us that he's good enough. But there is obviously a massive risk. Putting a 16-year-old in the Premier League in front of 70,000 people at Old Trafford on Saturday against Fulham, who are going to be what? You know, I don't know how old the Fulham players are, but let's say all in their mid-20s, men. At the age of 16, you're still a boy, really. You're not a fully grown man, are you? And I just wonder whether he'll be able to cope with the physical element of it. I might be wrong, you know, and I hope I am wrong. But obviously, Kobe Mainoo's done it. He's 18, and he, you know, doesn't look any less physical than Casemiro, who's a 30-year-old bloke who's bigger than him. So it's impossible to say. And the only way you can really find out is by giving Harry Amas a go. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, that's the bit that worries me. I fear that if, you know, say he plays against Fulham and he has an absolute stinker, maybe that will be his route to the first team gone. And all the people that I've spoken to about this Harry Amas guy have said that he's like genuinely good enough to replace Luke Shaw in the next kind of 2 or 3 years. And like people have such high expectations for him. And I just wonder whether it will ruin his development. Just a quick one. I want to say a massive thank you to Fred, who has just gifted 5 memberships for the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you so much for the support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. If you did get a membership from Fred, make sure to say thank you in the comment section and in the live chat. And if you do want to join the Members Club, it's only 99p. It does, you know, it really does help the channel. It helps us to keep going and all the rest of it. So if you are in a position to do that, you can either hit the $ if you're watching back on repeat, or if you follow the link I just posted in the chat. It's only 99p, as I said, so do get involved. And again, massive shouts to Fred, absolute legend. Thank you for all of your support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. And everybody in the chat is saying, let's do a poll. So we're going to do a poll because I like to try and make these shows as interactive as possible. So this is going to be... I can only use a certain amount of text. So give me 1 second. Everybody who's just joined, smash a like on the video, please, guys. I'm just going to set up a poll. I'm just going to set up a poll for you quickly. So give me 1 second, smash a like if you haven't already, and I will be with you in about 30 seconds. I'm just going to set this poll up. It's only me who does the channel, guys, so, you know, I have to do all the polls, read all the comments, whilst also presenting the show at the same time. So bear with me for 1 second. As I said, like the video if you haven't already, and the poll will be set up. Oh, my question's too long. We're sure being out for... Okay, all right, there we go. The poll is set up. Okay, so for anybody who's watching it back on repeat and's probably wondering, what the hell are you talking about? What's a poll? You can just get involved in the comment section. So the question is simple. With Luke Shaw being ruled out with injury for 3 months, till the end of the season pretty much, who would you play at left back for the rest of the season? Now, you've got 4 options. You've got Victor Lindelof, Sofian Amrabat, Anthony, which I know is a bit of a wild card, but we need to do something with him, or Harry Amas, who's obviously the 16-year-old who's currently playing in the under-18s for Manchester United. I think we signed him, didn't we, last season? Very, very high expectations for this kid. Really, really good player. From what I've seen of him, he looks quality. Yeah, we signed him from Watford last season, and he's had a really, really good season. He's played pretty much all of the games in the Premier League under-18s version. So those are the options. I'll come back to the poll in a minute and I'll keep, presenting the rest of the show and then we can talk about it. Obviously, if you want to put some comments in as well, get in the live chat and I'll read out as many as possible about the left-back situation. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Thomas Tuchel quickly then, because obviously that's one of the talking points for today's video. And this is coming out from Florian Plettenberg, who is Sky Sports Germany journalist. He's very, very close to Bayern Munich. He's got his information. He's very reliable for the Bundesliga. He's a tier 1 source for the Bundesliga, okay? So when he says something about the Bundesliga, you can usually pretty much say it's, valid. It's not made up. So Florian Plettenberg has said the following. He says that Thomas Tuchel is now eyeing up the Manchester United job. He can imagine himself becoming the Manchester United manager someday. I almost need to do a separate poll for this, don't I? So I'll let the current poll run for a couple of minutes and then I'll set up a poll for this question. Again, if you're watching the video back on repeat, let me know in the comment section. Would you like to see Thomas Tuchel at Manchester United? Obviously, the thing with Thomas Tuchel is, right, you can't completely slag him off because he has been successful. Obviously, he hasn't been successful at Bayern Munich so far, really. I think he won the Bundesliga last season on the last day of the season, didn't he? I'm just having a look. So he's won the Champions League with Chelsea. He won the French Cup with PSG. He won the French League twice. I mean, most people win the French League, don't they? It's not really a very competitive thing, is it? So yeah, obviously he won the Champions League with Chelsea. He won the UEFA Super Cup, which is the winner of the Champions League versus the winner of the Europa League. And then obviously all of the rest of the things were with PSG. And yeah, it was like the French Cup, the French Championship. And also, he won the German Cup with Borussia Dortmund. I mean, he's won a lot of trophies, hasn't he? He has been around for quite a long time. His first big job was at Dortmund, which was in 2016. And since then, obviously, he's managed PSG, was sacked. He's managed Chelsea, was sacked. He's managed Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich have announced that Thomas Tuchel will be removed from the position at the end of the season. So effectively, in the last 8 years, he's been sacked by PSG, Chelsea, Bayern Munich in the space of 8 years. So what's that on average? He's lasted about 2.5 years at each club. But arguably, he has won every single club he's been at trophies. He's won Champions Leagues at Chelsea. He's won the French League twice for PSG. He won the Bundesliga last season. So he has won stuff, But for me personally, I would not go for Thomas Tuchel. I'm not that convinced by him. I don't think he's any better than Erik ten Hag personally. I think we need to stick with Erik ten Hag. Yeah, for me personally, it's a no. But obviously, I'm interested to see what you guys think. I'm just having a look at the age difference. How old's Erik ten Hag? Is he younger than Erik ten Hag? Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so Erik ten Hag's 54, and Thomas Tuchel's only 50. So that's interesting. He is a little bit younger, and has won a lot more trophies in his managerial time than Erik ten Hag has. But Erik ten Hag's first job was only in 2018. So Thomas Tuchel has technically been managing top sides for 4 or 5 years longer than what Erik ten Hag has. So he's had a bit of a head start. But for me personally, it's a no. Definitely not. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I will get a poll set up to ask the people watching it live. Let's read out the results from the first poll. So 35% of you watching live today want to see Harry Amos at left back. 15% of you want Anthony. 27% want Amrabat, and 23% of you want Victor Lindelof. Okay, cool. That's good to know. So we're going to do a poll about Thomas Tuchel. Would you take Tuchel at United if Ten Hag got sacked? So I'm not saying, we specifically sack Erik ten Hag and bring in Tuchel in. I'm just more asking, if that situation arose, Erik ten Hag was removed from his position, would you be happy with Thomas Tuchel? For me, it's a no. I wouldn't. Do I think that Man United would bring him in? I don't think so, personally. I honestly think they'd be more likely to bring in someone like Graham Potter, personally. Again, I don't want Graham Potter, but I don't know. I feel like from listening to Jim Ratcliffe's press conference yesterday, they want somebody who's just going to follow the rules. Because there was one thing that I don't think that many people have talked about or noticed from Jim Ratcliffe's first interview, but he effectively said that whatever manager they bring in needs to play the style of football that Jim Ratcliffe, Jean-Claude Blanc, Omar Barada, they're going to decide the style of football. And then the manager will be expected to just play that style of football. So, you know, I don't know. I just feel like Graham Potter is that type of manager where he would come in and would just do whatever they say and he'll just coach whatever tactics the owners want him to play. Obviously, it depends whether Erik ten Hag's, you know, preferred style of play matches with what the vision is from Jim Ratcliffe and Omar Barada, etc., and Dan Ashworth. You know, if they come in and say, we don't like Erik ten Hag's style of play, we want to play in this specific way, he isn't the right man for the job, then you know, so be it. But I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting that he said that, because he's very much saying that we will create the style of play and the manager will then just kind of do as they're told, which, do you know what? I actually think is the correct decision. That's what they do at Brighton. That's what they've done at Man City. At Brighton, for example, like, people say, oh, De Zerbi's done really well and all the rest of it. Brighton played the same style of football before De Zerbi was there. The Brighton team, you know, the management team, the head of recruitment, the etc., they all decided what the style of play was. And then they know that if their manager leaves, they'll know who the next manager is, because they'll have already worked out what managers in the world play this same style of football that they want to play. Whereas Man United for the last kind of 11 years have just milked it. Meal says, Tuchel got sacked at PSG, Chelsea and Bayern. He's not good enough. Yeah, I agree. He then goes on to say that I think Hansi Flick is a better coach than Tuchel. Hansi Flick won, I don't know what that is, something. Lumen says, Kieran, should the question be, is Man United going to bring someone, or is Sir Jim Ratcliffe going to bring someone? Seems Potter is first of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's for their British connection. Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? That is the question. We have to wait and see what Jim Ratcliffe wants to do. We have to wait and see what style of football Jim Ratcliffe decides to play. That's the big question. I'll come back to the poll in a minute and we can go through that. But I wanted to go through a story that broke earlier on today from Rob Dawson, ESPN, really good journalist. And he is reporting this afternoon that apparently Jim Ratcliffe wants to get rid of eight. He wants to get rid of 11 players this summer. And you know what? When I read this, it was music to my ears. It really, really was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out these 11 players' names, okay? And if you think that any of these players should be staying, let me know, okay? I'm not going to give opinions on everyone. I'll just read them all out and then I'll give my opinion as an overall. So these are the 11 players that Rob Dawson from ESPN is reporting Jim Ratcliffe is looking to remove this summer. Christian Eriksen, Varane, Casemiro, Maguire, McTominay, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Martial. He's obviously going on a free, so he's not technically going to have to do anything with him. Jadon Sancho, Donny van de Beek, Pellistri, and Brandon Williams. You know what? I agree with every single one of them, without a shadow of a doubt. Every single one of them. I know people will say, oh, give Pellistri a chance, give Pellistri a chance. Pellistri's not going to get a chance at Man United, I'm sorry. Garnacho is levels above him and he's 18 years of age. Pellistri's 23 now. He's not a teenager anymore. I know people will say, oh, maybe he could have been good. He's in the Uruguay national team, but like, it is what it is, isn't it? You've just got to move on. We didn't spend that much money on Pellistri. He was quite a cheap signing, and I think we can still get some money for him. We only paid €8.5 million for Pellistri. I think you could probably get 10 to 15 million euros for Pellistri probably, which obviously then would be profit on our books. Going through the rest of the players really, really quickly. So who else have we got? Jadon Sancho, obviously he's got to go without a shadow of a doubt. Donny van de Beek's got to go 100%. Brandon Williams, hopefully Ipswich trigger the buy option in his contract. He's on loan there at the moment, but there is a buy option that Ipswich can trigger. Hopefully they do that. I imagine they probably would if they got promoted. Jadon Sancho obviously going to go. Victor Lindelof, 29, 30 this year. There's multiple reports in the media the last couple of days that apparently Lindelof is likely to move to Saudi Arabia, apparently. He'll be 30 by the time the transfer window opens. Only got 1 year left on his contract. Man United will move him on this summer, I think. So Lindelof, I think, will go. Going through the rest of them. Wan-Bissaka, we know that Crystal Palace are interested. And obviously we want to sign Elise, so I think that makes a lot of sense. I do like Wan-Bissaka, but I don't think, he's someone I would keep personally. I would happily get rid of him and bring in someone like Frimpong as a replacement. And he, again, only has 1 year left on his contract. So we've got to do something with him this summer. McTominay, you know what, guys? McTominay has received a lot of slander over the years, and he is not good enough to play as a CDM. He simply isn't. But as a player who can sit on the bench and impact a game in the last 10 minutes, I think he's useful to have. What I'm trying to get at here is I wouldn't sell McTominay on the cheap. If someone's going to offer you 35, 40 million, I think you have to take it. But I'm not so desperate to get rid of McTominay that I'd accept, 5, 10 million for him, because I genuinely think that if he's willing to be a bench warmer, an impact sub who literally just plays 10 minutes here and there, I think he's worth keeping on the bench, versus getting 5 or 10 million for him. Obviously, if we did get like a big bid from like a Newcastle or a West Ham for like 40 million, you've got to take it. Maguire, again, I think Maguire's been good this season, to be honest, to be fair. But I think if you're going to sell Maguire, now is the time. He's 30 years old. He'll be 31 next month. So by the time the transfer window opens, he'll be 31. Only has 1 year left on his contract as well. So we need to do something with him this summer. Obviously on absolutely massive wages. We know teams like West Ham are interested in him. So I think he's someone we'd look to move on. Casemiro, 32 in a couple of weeks' time. 350 grand a week. Seems to be getting injured a lot more than he did at Real Madrid. I think you've got to move him on. And Varane, I think, is absolutely world class. I love him. Would probably be bottom of this list of people I wanted to get rid of. Varane would be. Varane and Casemiro would be towards the bottom of the list. Like, out of these 11 players, if I had to do it in a tier system, Varane and Casemiro would be somewhere down the bottom. And then the final one is Christian Eriksen. I mean, what is he, 32 now? He can barely play half a game of football anymore without looking like he needs to come off. Apparently Ajax are really interested in Eriksen, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. Obviously, he was there for a while, wasn't he, when he was recovering from his, horrible heart accident that happened at the Euros. I think it was 2020, wasn't it? I'm happy with that, and I think it shows some initiative. I think it shows where the money can come from, and I think it's the correct decision. I think all 11 players should go. Let's have a look what people say. Fred says, where is the money coming from to replace these 11 players? I mean, all of those players you'd sell for money, So you should be able to raise, I think, 100 to 200 million from those players, in my opinion, if you include, obviously, the wages as well. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. But it's positive that these are the murmurs coming out, that Jim Ratcliffe isn't happy with these players who've been here for too long, earning crazy money, and are probably past their best and, are a bit old. Let's see if there's any questions or anything. Somebody in the chat saying we should try McTominay at left back. I mean, that just shows how desperate we are. Right, let's read out the results of the poll quickly before we end today's video. 83% of you wouldn't want to see Thomas Tuchel at Man United, and 17% of you said you would. Fair enough. That seems like a landslide in response to not wanting him. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. as usual. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Have a good evening, everybody.